Shalom, giving all praise to my heavenly Father. His name is Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, by Shem Kapadash. The honor to the apostles and elders are we well, and peace and many salutations to y'all, that's tooling in truth. Now, this is from a channel, Secular Talk, and this is a host here by the name of Kyle, and he's breaking down the attack, or a attack that happened in Iran that could possibly be provoked by Israel. And we understand that this is something that's plausible or very well could happen because a prophecy, right? Jeremiah, the 49th chapter. Okay, it goes into how the least of them would draw them out to war, alluding to the Edomite nation. Okay, and this is what we see going on contemporarily speaking. Now these Christians, they're still debating about Catholicism over Protestantism and all these isms and post-millennial, pre-millennial, all these fancy smancy words. And prophecies happen right before our eyes, man. And it's something that we have to, pay attention to. Like the bishop say, what we need to be talking about is that, prophecy. And the Christians don't do that. They just hate us. But I digress. I want to play this for you guys. Listen carefully what he says, and then I'll get to the scriptures, and that'll be it, okay?
So the other day, we learned that there was an explosion at an Iranian port. Now, honestly, I didn't see much about this story. It popped up on my timeline, but there weren't many different outlets talking about it. And, the interpretation I had is, okay, there was some sort of an industrial accident or something. And so that's why this story is not getting much traction, not much legs. Nobody's really talking about it. So here's a BBC article about this. They say Iran blames negligence for port blast as death toll rises to 70. So a lot of people died. A lot of people died in this. Iran's interior minister said negligence was a factor in the massive explosion and fire at the country's largest container port as the death toll rose to at least 70. Iskander Momeni said Saturday's blast at Shahid Raji port in Bandar Abbas, which also injured more than 1,000 people. Jesus.
So 70 people died in a supposed port explosion. You know what I'm saying? 70 people died and 1,000 people were injured. Okay? This is what happened. Okay? And Iran is saying that it was a freak accident, if you will. But listen closely what he's going to say about what the Jerusalem Post has to say about this attack. Okay? This is what I'm bringing out. To drill home prophecy, Jeremiah, the 49th chapter, okay?
Was caused by shortcomings, including noncompliance with safety precautions and negligence. Some individuals deemed responsible had been summoned for questioning, he added. Customs authorities have said imported cargo caught fire and exploded. The Defense Ministry has denied foreign reports that it was a shipment of missile fuel chemical. Okay. So we actually have a video of it. It's not great video, but you could kind of see it here. Watch this. That's a huge explosion, bro. Holy shit. Here, one more time. Let's run it back.
Hi, I'm Andy Levian, General Counsel at the DNC. We just sued President Trump and Doge, and I hope you will...
Huge explosion, bro. Holy shit. Here, one more time. Let's run it back. That's a gigantic explosion. That's absurd. So, anyway, I saw this, and... I didn't think much of it. My reaction was like, okay, that's kind of crazy. I feel bad about what happened. I feel bad people got hurt. But it looked like a story of some sort of accident. right? Well, I just saw this. Iranian port blast could be planned attack, not an accident, IDF general says.
You know what he said? So this is according to the Jerusalem Post. It says the Iranian port blast could be planned attack, not an accident. This is what a general basically told this uh, news outlet. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're pushing for war, and this is prophecy. I'm gonna let this play out. This is drill on point because we're gonna grab the scripture, and that's gonna be it. Okay. Remember, this is Jeremiah, the 49th chapter. Okay.
General Amir Avivi hinted at Israeli involvement in a recent chemical strike on Iranian rocket fuel. Huh? In an interview with the media line, Brigadier General Amir Avivi hinted at Israeli involvement in a recent chemical strike on Iranian rocket fuel, observing that, quote, this attack was on fuel for ballistic rockets. So it makes sense. This is a planned attack and not an accident. Looking ahead to renewed U.S.-Iran negotiations, Avivi warned against trusting Tehran's intentions. He noted that Iranian state media, quote, are laughing at the U.S. They think they're having the upper hand, and pressed President Trump to choose whether he's going to be a Churchill or a Chamberlain, insisting that if Iran does not fully dismantle its nuclear sites, quote, there is one option, an attack on the nuclear sites.
So Israel is pushing forward to what? To attack Iran. You know what I'm saying? The nuclear sites of Iran, which for decades, the U.S. also with Iran has stopped the production of nuclear power in that area. I believe it takes uranium to make that. You think? So with that, they're able to not only make weapons, but they actually they can make energy too. Okay, so they're trying to keep them, you know, uh, weak, if you will. All right, all this meddling, all these rumors that we hear, you know, this is going to lead to Esau Edom, you know, going into that third World War III. Okay, along with what's really, really important to understand is the production of AI. We are going to see the mass production of AI. That, along with nation attention, is going to lead to that third war, because right now they're fighting over who's going to control AI, man. All right, right, and this is going to be all that. What we see is a catalyst to uh, World War III. Okay, all right.
U.S.-Israeli coordination, Avivi said, the two governments talk frequently, but that Washington House voices, that's a weird way of saying it, seeking to retreat from the global leadership. He urged a massive airstrike, just as the U.S. is doing now on the Houthis, just as Israel did before in Iran, but a much bigger attack, arguing such a decisive blow would stop the war and not open a new, oh my god. This sounds just like the fucking rabid neocons during the Iraq War. Bro, if we do a massive bombing, that would, like, stop the war and not lead to a new war. By us doing a war, we're actually really anti-war if you think about it. So, here you have an Iranian general going, maybe it wasn't an accident, you know what I'm saying? And there's an...
You see what I'm saying? So it's definitely going down. You know what I'm saying? So let's get to the scriptures. You know, let's get to the scriptures. Alright, I've been quoting this for quite a while. I'm going to read it for you guys. That'll be it. Let me see. I'll start at verse 14. Jeremiah 49 and 14. I have heard a rumor from Yahweh, by Yeshua Habashah, and an ambassador is sent unto the heathen, saying, gather ye together and come against her and rise up to battle. And who's been, battling these small hatters, those Amalekites over there for the longest, is the Iranians. Now, when I alluding, when I say the small hats, I'm alluding to the people that's living in the land of of Israel, if you will. Okay, they are the small hatters. Okay, they are stem from the family line of Esau Edom. Okay, the Amalekites. All right, which is a royal lineage of the Edomites. Okay, all right. These people are leading America, other Edomites, into World War III. Okay, and they're pushing this. They push this narrative, and the people who are coming up against uh, the small hatters is who? Iran. Okay, they say, hey, we gotta come up against these people, man. They're doing too much. Okay, look at the war or the slaughter that's going on in Gaza. We'll just leave it at that. Okay, you have to be objective about these things. They're being desolated over there, for lack of a better term. I'm talking about in the hundred thousands, indiscriminately. Yeah, you Christians don't have anything to say about this. You like to laugh and joke and debate all day long, but real things are happening. Real things are going on. Okay, this is reality, not a debate on all these isms that you guys get caught up in. Okay, prophecy is popping off the pages. And if you understand what prophecy is, you understand that all what we see going on leads to what? To the coming of Yahweh Shai, who the word ignorantly calls Jesus. His true name is Yahweh Shai. Okay? Jeremiah 49:14. I have heard a rumor from Yahweh and an ambassador. Excuse me, guys. Back to it. It got a bit loud out there. I apologize about that, but this is Jeremiah 49:14. I have heard a rumor from Yahweh. An ambassador is sent unto the heathen, saying, gather ye together and come against her and rise up to the battle. Right? This is what we see going on with Iran. Right? For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men. And this is what we see going on. Starting with who? The small hatters, man. Thy terribleness hath deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart. What is that? What is that terribleness? That military might. With Esau Edom's military might, he's able to force nations to bow down to him, all right, and to establish his hegemon, right, which goes back to hegemony, which means a cultural dominance of a nation. Okay, all right, and Christianity spearheads that ideology, I might add. Okay, with that military might, he's able to conquer and establish his will on the planet Earth, and so that might that he has is going to be his deceit. He think he's going to use a hammer for everything, and it's going to be his downfall in the latter time, which we are in the latter time. This is why we see such conflict going on, and the so-called Middle East is not the Middle East. It's actually Asia. Okay, it's a part of Asia. All right, it's West Asia. Okay, all right. But back to it. Verse 15, for lo, I will make thee small among the heathen, despised among men. Thy terribleness hath deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart. O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, and holdest the height of the hill, though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith Yahweh. All right, so this man with his might, has made himself high, you know what I'm saying, in society, right? If there is a hierarchy right now, Esau Edom would be on top. And he has ruled terribly. He has destroyed many people's lives, not just those so-called black, completely black thing like they like to paint us as, right? Which they use that narrative to downplay our plight and also to really degrade us by calling us black. Okay. Right. Which that's a concept that was really made here. Right. The classism of a person based off of their skin tone. And with that comes certain ideologies. We just can't get it together. Bunch of coons, right? Right? That's what really the Christian church push. Not to go on a tangent. Okay? That's what the Christian church pushed. Right? To subdue us, right? And to make us worship his way. And people that's in a church, these Christian church, these theological seminars, and like to use these fancy words. This is what they're a part of, man. Okay, this is what they push. This is why a part of the image of the beast is what Christianity, man. But with his might, he's able to set himself on high, right? His culture on high. Okay? His culture is on high. His belief system, right? And wickedness has covered the earth because of this. It talks about this in what? First Maccabees. First Maccabees, the first chapter. Okay? Starting with the Greeks, right? The Edomites, that when they got in rulership, wickedness spread throughout the earth. Okay? Getting straight to the point. First Maccabees 1 and we got time. I don't have to rush. First Maccabees 1:1. And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, in so much that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. Okay, so this is the father of who? Alexander the Great. He took down the Medes, and Alexander the Great forwarded that nation or that empire, right, to where his empire reached parts of India, from Macedonia all the way to India, within a very short span with the sword. That's his blessing, with his sword. Okay. And with that blessing, he was able to do what? To subdue the people in Helen, and Hellenization began. Okay. The Edomite way. Okay. It started centuries ago. All right. Back to it. It says, where do we stop at? Sorry about that. I got a little zealous. I want to go ahead and just read up. I'm gonna start all over again. I'm gonna read from the top one more time. It says, and it happened after that, Alexander, son of Macedonia, and it happened after that, Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, has smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, and he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. Okay, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth and went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quieted before him. Whereupon he was exalted, uh, and his heart was lifted up, and he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. So he subdued them and they became tributary. What's a tributary? Basically nations that paid a fee, if you will, for lack of better terms, to the main nation. All right, who else did that? Rome. Who else does it now? America. Okay. All right. And, just to simplify things. Okay. Now we can get more intricate, but we're making a point here. We don't want to drift off. All right. So he subdued these nations, man. They were under his rulership. Okay. Or their jurisdiction. They were, you know what I mean? Back to it though. It says, and after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. So Alexander the Great, after I want to say 13 years of warring, he died at like 33. You know what I'm saying? And this is when, you know, uh, his empire that he conquered, which is huge, was split up into four districts. Okay. And there were two main ones, that began to a war, all right, during the Hellenistic period. Okay. The Antiochus Empire against the Ptolemaic Empire. Or I should say the Seleucid Empire against the Ptolemaic Empire. Okay, right? But out of this sprung what? The cultural hegemony, the strength of Babylon, the great narrative, what you see. Okay, essentially the Edomites ruling. Okay, follow what I'm saying. We're in the time to where these other nations, starting with guys like key players like Iran, are going to come up against this place and break down, the strength of this place of the Edomites via what? By war. Okay, and it's starting with who? It's starting with those people that we like to call the small hatters in war. All right. So by their terribleness, the terribleness has deceived them. Remember what we was reading here in Jeremiah the 49th chapter. All right. I just wanted to illustrate, what we're talking about here. We're not talking about some, make believe stuff here. We're talking about actual empires, right? That has been set up. Okay. This is why there's such division going on in the world, and even on a microscopic level, in the Christian church. You got guys like Alton Johnson. He it's talking about us. He likes to slander us, but he has white supremacists in his denomination, dude. Like he like your hypocrisy is it's incredible, but that just shows you that you worship um you worship white culture, bro. I'm not calling you out your name or anything like that. It's just that's your preference, and that's okay. But you're wrong. If you calling yourself a Calvinist, then you would have to be okay with the various racist rhetoric that's being a part of your establishment, right? Not only yours, but this the reform movement in itself. You would have to be okay with that, and even what's going on contemporarily speaking, because that's where it stems from, bro. It stems from, yes, white guys being the head, bro. The people who you're calling out, they're not saying anything wrong. That's where it came from, bro. That's what they established. Look at the laws, and that's fine. That racism builds civilizations. Okay, if you're okay with that, just say you're okay with it. Like my guy that moved to Africa. What's his name? Uh, Damn, he got a crazy name. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The Christian nationalist that moved to Africa. He knows what's up. But he's very articulate. Well, this will happen, and he's down with it. Okay, just be like that guy. Don't call it out. That makes you hypocrite and delusional, right? And all that stems from Esau Edom's terribleness, right? His terribleness. This is what he established on the earth. Okay, this is why I brought what I brought out. Right, Christianity is just not just it's just a thing. No, certain laws, regulation, understanding was dictated by white people, so-called white people, and you not acknowledging that you're being, intellectually dishonest. It's a part of his rulership. Okay, this is why you see such division going on in your denomination. Okay, all right, and racism, if you will, which that's a part of rulership. Racism, part of rulership. You don't know anything about that though. Um, Going back to it. Okay, I'm sorry for rambling. I'm really trying to drill home a point. Okay, with Esau Edom has established his culture on the earth with the sword, right? And that sword has deceived him. Okay. Jeremiah 49:16. Thy terribleness hath deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart. O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill, though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith Yahweh. Right? So this man has set himself on top, but guess what? He's going to be brought down low. All right? Also, Edom shall be a desolation. Everyone that goeth by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof, as in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, and the neighboring cities thereof, saith Yahweh. No man shall abide there, neither shall a son of man dwell in it. Why is that? Because the Most High is gonna totally do away with it, right? A huge part of that's gonna be war. This has not happened yet. Okay. Behold, he shall come up for like a lion from the swelling of Jordan against the inhabitations of the strong, but I will suddenly make him run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that shall stand before me? So who's going to stop the counsel of the will of Heavenly Father? No one. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath purpose against the inhabitants of Teman. Check this out. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out, and surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. And how's that going to happen, brothers? Well, that's going to happen with war. Okay? The earth is moved at the noise of their fall. At the cry, the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. What happened in the Red Sea after um, the conflict with Israel and Gulf? Israel and Gaza, not the Gulf, excuse me, Gaza. The conflict that happened in the Red Sea, I believe, is still going on now, right? With the Houthi against um, Israel, you know, disrupting trade. Just trade wars going on now. Things are igniting. Okay, right? The least of them, right? Those Amalekites over there, the drawing. Israel, Edom, right? Those people in the land calling themselves Israelites, right? That's ruling by the sword. Okay, let's be honest. They're ruling by the sword. Okay, be an adult. Let's be adults here. You know, be objective about what's going on. Right? They're ruling by the sword. Okay, right? Slaughtering people. Those people are going to lead to a great war, and we see it going on now. Okay, this is very big. What's going on? Pray it was edifying. Shalom.